This year, you were again invited to the United Nations General Assembly in the capacity of Director General of the Arakan Rohingya Union, but we also saw that you were invited as President of Muslim Aid America. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I was invited to United Nations General Assembly this year again as the Director General of Arakan Rohingya Union to participate in several meetings and events. I was also invited to some events as the President of Muslim Aid America, yes.
I know that the first event you attended was through an invitation from the U.S. State Department. Could you tell us what the event was about?
Yeah, the event was organized by U.S. State Department, and I was invited to the event. It's a meeting, actually, large meeting, as the Director General of Arakan Rohingya Union, and also as the founding chairman of Burmese Rohingya Association of North America, commonly known as BRANA. The first meeting I was attended. This was the first meeting that I attended at the UN General Assembly. The meeting was titled as Displacement of Rohingya Minorities. That was held at the United Nations Plaza on the 22nd. And the event was presided by Sarah Sewall. She is U.S. Undersecretary of State for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights. There were over 60 invited participants from various government and non-government agencies and civic societies. In that meeting, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor, Tom Malinowski, also attended. He had an opening remarks, and he described the growing challenges of displacement of religious minorities in various parts of the world from political, social, religious, and cultural context. He stressed how the government of the United States has dedicated to its resources and making tremendous efforts through engagement with global communities. And he went on into details of so many strategies and how the government of the United States is working really hard on addressing these issues. That's a growing problem globally, these displacement issues. And then after the Assistant Secretary of State spoke, and Secretary Sewall provided in-depth analysis of the complexities in displacement issues. The Secretary has stated that in 2013, the world witnessing the largest displacement of religious minorities, not just one religious group, but various religious groups. Of course, Muslims in Burma and Arakan, Rohingya, and Myanmar Muslims are one of them. In almost every corner of the world, she said, millions of people representing a range of faith and religion were forced from their homes on account of their religious beliefs. She also said the entire neighborhood are emptying the residents out of fear or by force, and the communities are threatened, often disappearing from their historic homelands. Just like Rohingya in Arakan, that's a perfect example, that she was talking about. And they're dispersed across the map. There are also some other speakers, in that meeting, and, talking about displacement. I was one of the speakers. I basically spoke about displacement of Rohingya ethnic minority, not only in Arakan, in Burma, Rakhine State, Burma, and also several other countries around the world. You know the situation in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Middle Eastern region. I also brought up the issues related to IDP camps, situation in the IDP camp in Arakan, about the horrendous conditions that the Rohingya IDPs are facing right now. I have pointed out that the displacement of Rohingya population has deeper implications, as the victims, Rohingya victims, are increasingly targeted by human smugglers and traffickers. And what's happening to them, the victims are ending up in hard labor camps and sex slave trade in southern Thailand. I explained the major difficulties in initiation of dialogue among communities, particularly Rohingya and Arakan, Buddhist Arakan in Arakan state, because of the complexities involving the union government in Naypyidaw, state officials in Sittwe, and then even local officials in townships. This is complex among themselves. And on top of that, the lack of willpower by the government of Burma in Naypyidaw. They don't have any willpower. They don't want to do it from their heart. So these are the issues. Government has to be aggressive in pursuing this dialogue and facilitating dialogue between Rohingya and Buddhist Arakan. So that was basically about the State Department's meeting at the General Assembly.
And which was the meeting you attended in the capacity of President for Muslim Aid America?
Oh yes, that was really good one. The event that I was invited as part of the delegation of Muslim Aid is basically on humanitarian issue. The title of the event meeting was Ending the Poverty and Why Strong, Accountable Institutions Matter. That was a very good one, especially I was very pleased with the unique message in that meeting for the global community with regard to the poverty faced by all kind of people, victims around the world. They were powerful speakers. I was absolutely thrilled to have the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, standing 5-10 feet away from me. I am in the second row. He was in the front row, and he stood from there, went to the podium, speaking very 5-10 feet away from our delegation on fighting poverty through fighting the corruption in the government institutions and other entities. I could see how effectively Prime Minister David Cameron has articulated the importance of transparency and accountability in the government and other institutions in reducing the poverty. Prime Minister David Cameron went on many detailed strategies reducing the poverty. But, by just listening to him, I could clearly connect the poverty and despair among Rohingya community in Arakan state and the serious corruption taking place in Arakan, this system of corruption engraved in the system of union, state and local government in Arakan, starting from townships, 13 townships in Arakan, to Sittwe, to a union government in Burma and Naypyidaw. So I couldn't see how this such corruption in the government could be affecting victims. In our case, Rohingya victims. And there were also important speakers such as John Mahama, the president of Ghana, Helen Clark, the administrator of UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program, and Dr. Labelle, the chairman of Transparency International. So this event was a very unique one. It was very rewarding to attend this event. We were actually four of us in our delegation. The two, a CEO and the secretary from our headquarters in UK. And then I'm the president of Muslim Aid America, and then our country coordinator was also with me. So we are four of us as a delegation from Muslim Aid.
According to reports, there were some major events at the OIC at the General Assembly, and Arakan Rohingya Union was invited to those. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I will be very happy to, but I must be careful. Also, I must also mention to you that many parts of the OIC meetings, particularly the OIC Ministerial Contact Group meeting, are not public. These meetings are private, and so my answer to your question will be quite limited if you would allow me. Not to go too far detail in answering your question. Generally, I must say that the serious issues and strategies were discussed in this meeting. The delegations from several countries, OIC member countries, have expressed their concerns on extremely slow-paced progress. In best term is slow-paced progress, actually, some of them said, but in most cases, no progress at all in Arakan state. And they've discussed strategies on engagement with government of Burma, not only by OIC itself, but also from ASEAN perspective, referring to those OIC member of ASEAN group, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei, as well as bilateral relations. They really stressed that this time, Burmese government has a good relationship with many countries of OIC. And these countries who has a good bilateral relations with Burma can have some leverage on addressing Rohingya issues, and the meeting has really this time, it was discussed very much in detail about how these bilateral relations can be used as a leverage. Among all the ministerial delegations, they agreed that there should be a dialogue and reconciliation. But there's also serious need for more urgent approach for such short-term solutions that could set the stage for a long-term dialogue and reconciliation effort. They made it clear that we cannot just keep talking about dialogue and reconciliation. That will take some time. But what's going to happen? In the meantime, people are suffering. Our situation has deteriorated. There's some violence now by Burmese forces, police, in the verification process. There are a lot of other issues that needs immediate attention and solution before we embark on the long-term issue through a dialogue and reconciliation effort. So there are two-pronged strategies, it looked like. I think that's pretty much I want to discuss because of the sensitivity issues, talking the meeting contents and discussions of this OIC contact group meeting, which is not public.
According to some Malaysian media reports, both you and the former Foreign Minister of Malaysia and OIC Special Envoy to Burma, Tan Sri Hamid Al-Bar, addressed the OIC Ministerial Group at the General Assembly. Are you at liberty to tell me anything about that?
Oh yeah, you're trying to extract some more, but I must say this. This is just general thing again, not talking too much into details. Ambassador Albar is a veteran foreign service officer, senior officer, a well-respected diplomat around the world, plus in ASEAN and in that region. He is now the special envoy for OIC. He himself presented a very strong case on what he perceives on Rohingya issue based on his personal experiences in Southeast Asian diplomacy. He made it very clear that the Rohingya and the Muslim issue in Burma is rather complex, and dialogue and understanding among the ethnic groups in Arakan is the foundation to solving the problem. He stressed that there's not, that's not going to be easy, but he also expressed his optimism based on personal interaction with Burmese and Arakan officials. He was very clear about the complexity, and also he showed optimism because he met with people in Naypyidaw and Arakan state. One thing is what struck me was, contrary to what Burmese and Arakan media has reported, we have seen the 11 media and all other garbage-minded reporters and media people in Burma. When he gave the briefing, I could see Ambassador Alvar was well received by union officials in Naypyidaw, government officials and the state officials and Arakan leaders in Burma. So what media, the Burmese, Arakan media and Burmese media has reported was not this, what Ambassador Albar has said. So this apparently, this Burmese, Rakhine and Burmese media has manipulated this, making a negative propaganda about his trip, targeting, to that visit, his visit as a negative one, and they wanted that to be failed. That's what I think has happened. So it was quite encouraging the way he has presented his case, unlike those 11 media and other reports. Now it appears that it is quite, it is really, really disgusting to see the inconsistent of things reported by this media, this unprofessional, violence-loving media in Burma. They're playing as destructive elements. They are these destructive elements, not just against Rohingya. They are also destroying the progress of the country, future of the country. These media, negative media, negative propaganda media are not doing good for the country. And I think this Burmese government need to realize that these media are not helping. I think Ambassador Albar's efforts should be supported by all peace-loving people in Burma, in public and government sectors across the population and the government in Burma.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your presentation at the OIC Ministerial Group meeting?
During the meeting, I was given the floor, that ministerial meeting, and I addressed that ministerial delegation and the realistic and practical matter directly with regard to Rohingya issue. I was very straightforward in saying that government of Burma must be consistent in what they tell the international community and what they do in Arakan on the ground. There has to be some consistency between the two, which is not right now. They will tell something to international community. We hear time and again that positive things. They want to solve the problem. They talk in a conciliatory tone, and then there you go on the ground, totally different picture. So I highlighted that. Actually, I highlighted three major points. Number one was the campaign, relentless campaign by the radical elements in the government of Burma to eliminate the very name of the Rohingya, the ethnic identity name of the Rohingya. They want to eliminate that. They want to destroy that. There's a relentless, unyielding campaign by the government officials. And then second thing I mentioned was the verification and citizenship process, mired with controversy, hate, and violence by Burmese forces. And number 3 point I was making was the unyielding human rights violations, continuation of human rights violations, and ethnic cleansing campaign against Rohingya people by the Burmese official. And this pretty much what I highlighted in the ministerial meeting.
Dr. Uddin, I also understand that you were at the United Nations for almost all of last week. Did you have any meetings with UN agencies you could elaborate on?
Oh, yeah. I was there for over 5 days, nearly 6 days, all week last week. And I had quite a few meetings with UN agency officials from UN agencies, various agencies of United Nations. But all the discussions, meetings were of sensitive nature. The United Nations officials are sensitive to these public statements, what they say, and they don't want to be put in the forefront of any controversy. So they often tend to be passive, but they did answer some of my questions straightforward. So I can say some of these questions here in a conversation with you, in this conversation with you. I asked the officials of United Nations agencies in those meetings about the reports that we are seeing in the media that some UN officials are caving in to the demands by the government of Burma to abandon the use of the term Rohingya. And they flatly denied that their answer was no. They flatly denied that their answer was no. The officials said, all of them in different meetings, that nobody will be able to deny the use of term Rohingya. That term, Rohingya people, have self-expressed themselves as their ethnic identity. They stress that it is against international law to deny or reject such identity of an ethnic group. They are very, very clear about that. They will not be able to do it because if they do that, they will be violating the international law. They did say this. It is possible that some people did not use the term Rohingya where they could have. But they again said that that's subjective. A lot of times, in the public arena, names are not mentioned, often. But that doesn't mean that they have caved in to the demand by the government of Burma. So they said that not mentioning in some certain situation, not repeatedly mentioning the Rohingya name, should not be interpreted as the rejection or refusal to use the ethnic identity term Rohingya. It should not be interpreted that way. They made it very clear. So that was basically my meeting with the UN officials were about this report we are seeing, and we discussed other things, IDP camps and refugees, and in some cases, and some of that sensitive matters were discussed with some UN officials that I don't want to mention the name here. So, but that was. The meeting was very productive. All the meetings were very productive with UN officials, and I was satisfied with their answers.